What it do, Kaizoku crew? It's your boy Kaizoku Ice, and we're here today to talk about OP-12 Legacy of the Master. We have an official release date of August 22nd, and I want to tell you guys one thing, and it is to avoid, capital AVOID, avoid this set like the plague. It is a good set, but, well, I have a multitude of reasons why you should avoid this set. But before we go into any of that, though, we have something more important to talk about, which is we have reached 1,300 subscribers. Let's go, Kaizoku crew. You already know I appreciate every single one of y'all. So because we're at 1,300 subscribers, which is a pretty crazy feat in itself, we have to celebrate. And the way we're going to celebrate is by doing a giveaway. Of course, we are doing a special subscriber giveaway. We will be giving away this Makino alternate art from the, I think, premium collection. And then this Zoro alternate art, pretty sick art, I can't even lie. That's from Event Pack, I think 4, 5, I'm not sure. But we'll be giving away these two cards, so just stay tuned to the end of the video, and I'll let you guys know how you can win those cards. So, let's get right into it. Why you should avoid OP-12, guys. OP-12, honestly, is a pretty solid set with a lot of banger cards. If you take a look at the card list, this is coming from the Japanese One Piece website. Got some pretty good cards, the main being the staple Jewelry Bonnie manga rare. Pretty great card. I don't want to look at this card too much because it low-key got a lot of spoilers on it. But pretty cool card. It is officially the third waifu manga rare, and you guys know how I feel about waifu manga rares. I think that they're going to do extremely well. That being the Nami, the Hancock, and now the Bonnie. And then following OP-11's gold, silver, SSP kind of trend, we have a similar one with the Blackbeard here, this one being the gold foil, and then this one right here being, I don't think this is silver, maybe like a white and black Blackbeard. So pretty cool cards overall. And then we've got the, like, I call these kind of like the X-ray SP cards. I think that these look really cool too. We have a Tashigi, Yasop, a Lim, this Blackbeard, we got Kuzan here, we got Ace, and then we've got Zoro. So, you know, these cards are all pretty nice and pretty cool. However, guys, this is a trap. This is the easiest trap that I can see in the One Piece trading card game. From what I've seen so far, you know, One Piece is pretty cyclical, right? Being how they release their sets. You know, Romance Dawn OP1 release back in December of 2022. Then we got the next anniversary set being OP-05 Awakening of the New Era in, I think, November or December 2023. Then last year we got OP-09 Emperors in the New World, and then we're going to get OP-13 Inherited Will. Yeah, OP-13 Inherited Will. We're going to get that this holiday season too, right? And those typically do quite well. If we're looking at the spreadsheet here, we have OP-01. Granted, that's kind of an outlier in itself because it's the first set. But it's going for about like $430 for the white bottom box. OP-05 was at $259, and then OP-09 was at $170. So those three sets minus, you know, OP-2 and OP-3 were the most expensive sets that we have had so far in the One Piece trading card game. And when we're looking at OP-13 coming, I guess, in the near future, that's probably going to be around that same price of about $150 to potentially even $200 per box, right? But if we're looking at the trends, and this is what I mean by One Piece being cyclical, when you look at the sets in between those anniversary sets, the sets in between don't typically do that well, right? And in fact, they actually don't, some of them are even below MSRP. That being OP-07, OP-08, and OP-10, right? So when I'm looking at OP-12, which honestly doesn't have too much going for it, that being the most expensive cards, probably going to be this Blackbeard Gold SSP, and then the Bonnie manga, right? When I'm looking at Japanese prices right now, we have the Bonnie manga going for about $301, some even below $300. This one here is $278 only like 4 days ago, right? And then the Blackbeard SSP is going for about $570, $500. Oh, this is kind of fun. Blackbeard Gold Plated Edition Artist Signed. Wow, that's fun. They have like other random trading cards games. Okay, I digress. But yeah, the Blackbeard SSP is going for like $500, right? So In regards to chase hits, if we're going to compare that to, the English sets, I would expect the most expensive card in OP-12 to be the Blackbeard SSP in the gold foiling. I expect that to be about $1,000, maybe even less than that. And then the Bonnie is probably going to be around 600 if we're multiplying the Bonnie price here in Japanese by 2, which I think is a kind of a solid rule of thumb for Japanese versus English. Is probably going to be about like a $550 to $600 card, right? And if we're going off of the cyclical nature of One Piece and the precedence of the previous sets, if you take a look here, this is my Excel sheet from, I believe, March or April, and this is when Royal Blood had just released, right? So the box price was still at $120, which was MSRP, and the most expensive card, which was the Law Manga Rare, was going for almost $500. However, if we just move even just 3 months later, so this is my June updated Excel, when you look at OP-10, the price went from $120 to $93, and then if we look at the most expensive card, it is now at $353, and when it pre-released, it was at almost $500, right? So I'm expecting a similar case for OP-12. I do think that OP-12 is going to do a lot better than the worst sets being OP-8 and OP-10, just because it has some pretty solid chase cards, being that the Bonnie and the Teach SSP, right? I do think that OP-12 will still hold its value. However, we have to look towards the future, right? And we can't get caught up into the hype that, whenever a new set releases, of course, if you're a player of the card game, you need to get your meta-relevant cards so you can, be competitive in your tournaments. However, for people like myself, and I would say most of the Kaizoku crew, from what I've talked with some of y'all, we are mainly collectors, right? And don't get caught up into the hype of a new set. It's pretty easy to, you see the Bonnie, you see all these people ripping whenever release date happens on August 22, and you're going to want to buy this set. But once again, we're thinking long-term. We're thinking of PRB2 coming out right after that in, I think, October. Then we're thinking even after that, OP-13, which is going to be, in my opinion, one of the biggest sets of the year, if not the biggest set of the year besides PRB2. This is a set that you should skip, right? Should honestly save most of your money for PRB2 and OP-13. If we're talking about precedents from the previous sets, right? I believe on the OP-05 and OP-09 pre-release, which is the anniversary sets, I remember buying my boxes for about $150, right? OP-05 is now about $250 and OP-09 is about $170. So if you just bought those boxes and held, you would do quite well in your investment, right? And with OP-12, I actually compare OP-12 with it being a kind of a mid-year set, and then also having a girl manga, a waifu manga. I compare that to OP-07, 500 Years in the Future, because 500 Years in the Future also had a girl manga, being that the Boa Hancock, right? Back when I made this Excel sheet back in, I think, March or April, the price for a OP-07 box was $110, so, not horrible, but also on the lower end of the rest of the sets, right? The only one lower at the time was OP-08, which was $90. If we're comparing this sheet from, I think, March, and we're comparing that to the June prices, OP-07 only went up $10, and I'm kind of expecting a similar trend with OP-12. As I was saying earlier, OP-12 has a lot better cards than OP-07 and OP-08 and OP-10. However, if we're just looking at what people really want for their collections, what people want to flex and their grail cards, OP-12 doesn't really have a grail card, right? Oops, wrong one. If you're looking at, let me see here. If you're looking at OP-11, the grail cards are obviously the Luffy SSP in the gold and silver foiling. You can see them here, right? And then, let's see this one. Oh, sorry, this is the Japanese one. This one was the English one. Okay, sorry guys, had to cut there. I think my hat was a little bit too tight, low-key a little sweaty right now. But regardless, what I was meaning to say is that the fact that OP-11 is about $122, so about MSRP price, and the chase hit is a $2,500 card being the gold SSP Luffy, then it doesn't make any sense to me why OP-12, which has a worse chase card being that the Blackbeard gold SSP, once again, I'm expecting that card to be about $1,000. The fact that this card right here is $2,500, and the box price is $120, and then the most expensive card in OP-12 is only 1,000, then why would this set, OP-12, have a similar price to OP-11, which in my opinion is one of the best sets this year, right? There's no reason for this set to be even remotely close to OP-11. And in fact, if I'm employing my Crunchyroll theory, which if you guys aren't familiar with that theory, it basically means if you see a booster box still on Crunchyroll's website, that means that that set is garbage, right? And if you went on Crunchyroll's website, I think just even a couple months ago, you would see OP-08 and OP-10, right? And that it clearly shows here in the numbers, right? They are below MSRP price. OP-10 is only $93 per box and OP-08 is $100. I'm expecting OP-12 to be the same, right? I do think it's probably going to be about $100. I don't think it's going to be lower than OP-10 because OP-10 doesn't have really any chase card besides that Law manga rare, which is only $353. So OP-12 having a more expensive chase hit, being that Blackbeard SSP being $1,000, or assuming it's going to be $1,000, I expect that this set should be around like $100 to $110. I think conservatively, you can probably expect it to be around $110 on release. So, but I do expect it to go back down eventually, right? Just because if we're thinking about the long term, right? PRB2, OP-13, if anything, people are going to want to sell their cards and buy into those sets because we've already seen the precedence behind those sets. If we're just talking about PRB2, right? Let's take a look at PRB prices. I haven't updated this Excel sheet in a while, but PRB1 prices were $270 per booster box. I'm expecting PRB2 to do more or less the same, provided there is a God pack, right? PRB1 had the God pack with the Gear 5 Luffy. PRB2 won't have the Gear 5 Luffy, presumably, which is the most expensive card in the set. So I'm assuming it might have the Gold Roger manga rare, but even if it doesn't, having a God pack of the rest of the manga rares will still probably have PRB2 around a $200 booster box, right? So if we're just comparing a $200 booster box in PRB2 versus, a $110 booster box in OP-12, and OP-12 is probably going to go down over time, whereas PRB2 is probably going to go up over time, it's a no-brainer. You should not buy OP-12, and you should just rotate your money into PRB2, right? And then OP-13 it has literally 2 years of precedence, right? With OP-05 being a $200 booster box and OP-09 being almost a $200 booster box also. MSRP for $120, if you can get your OP-13 for that price, it is probably going to be a $200 booster box, right? And OP-12 will probably just stagnate similar to all the previous sets, right? I do think that OP-12, if we're going to rank them real quick, OP-12 is just probably on par, if not a little bit better than OP-07. And honestly, I don't think anyone's really that excited for OP-07, let's be real. It has some cool SPs and it has the Boa Hancock manga rare, and OP-12 will have some cool SPs and have the Bonnie manga rare, but it's probably just going to be a middling of the pack set, like, let's be honest. Like, there's just more exciting things in the pipeline to come, and there's no reason to spend your money on OP-12. Honestly, there's not. If anything, right, I'd rather you guys still buy OP-11. If we're just talking about from a cost basis perspective and risk versus reward, $120 to get a $2,500 card in the gold SSP Luffy, I mean, that's a no-brainer. Why would you spend MSRP price of about $120 for OP-12, right? There's no point in getting this set at MSRP price. If you can get it lower, maybe, but still, I'd rather you just save your money for the later sets the rest of the year. But the most expensive card you can get in this set is going to be about $1,000. Why would you not just get OP-11, right? So, long story short, guys, I do like this set just from a pure art perspective. It has some great cards, like, don't get me wrong. From a pure collector standpoint, this is a great card. This right here is a great card. Like, there's nothing wrong with this set. It's just, we have to think about the long term and not the short term. Short term wise, it might be nice to get this set. You can make a quick flip on some of these cards because people will just be wanting the newest cards, the newest meta-relevant cards, right? But we have to think about it from a long-term perspective. I want you guys, the Kaizoku crew, to, not waste your money and spend, hundreds, $500,000, thousands of dollars ripping OP-12, and then it comes time for PRB2 and OP-13, and you're like, wait, I should have spent $1,000 on PRB2 and OP-13 instead of spending $1,000 here. Like, it just doesn't make any sense, and I don't want you guys to fall for that trap. So that's pretty much what I have to say about OP-12. I'll be doing some more videos once we probably get the English versions of the cards. Maybe I'll change my mind when I actually look at the physical cards themselves. But honestly, all I'm looking forward to right now is PRB2 and OP-13, and that's all you guys should be looking forward to. I don't want you guys kind of wasting your time with this set. If you have some extra funds, maybe it might be fun to rip some packs. If you can find it for retail, go ahead. But nah, just save your money for BRB2 and OP-13, and that's pretty much it. So, all right, I'm done yapping, guys. Let's go in how you guys can win these cards in the giveaway. Man, I kind of wanted to keep wearing this hat, guys, but it low-key makes me sweaty. It kind of hurts my head. But regardless, how you guys can win this card or these cards right here is simply comment down below what you think about OP-12. Do you guys agree with me, or do you think I'm wrong? Maybe you guys actually think that OP-12 is going to go crazy, you know, in the next couple of months, and it's going to do better than PRB2 and OP-13. I highly doubt that, but once again, we're here to just kind of talk. Give me your opinions. Let me know what you guys think. So, like the video, subscribe, you guys know the deal, and then leave a comment about what you think about OP-12. So, I'm Kaizoku Ice. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Stay well, stay blessed, and I'll catch y'all on the next video.